Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode, special episode, well, kind of the Elite City Podcast. It's the LA Dynamite edition.
Yes.
Great show last night.
Excellent show. And we'll mention it now. We were meant to do a bonus episode, but
yes,
we didn't want to use an interim co-host due to your injury.
Yes. For those who don't know, I put it on the Discord, and I can't remember if I put it on Twitter, but when you get old, things happen when you abuse your body growing up playing sports, and my knee finally gave out, the right knee. I have to get an MRI, and I'm gonna be on the shelf because I got to get some surgery, so need repaired. But it is what it is. Can't bring me down though.
So how does Sting and Jericho? How did they do it?
Magic. He's a wizard.
Yeah, I guess true. Because they get beat up like all the time, and like they just, yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, like mine's like, it's like, oh, I hurt my knee when I was like 18.
Right.
It's like, and it gives out now, but like, yeah, those guys literally, like, Sting jumped off a story of an arena in Pittsburgh
at like 62 years old or whatever he is. Yeah,
literally. I mean, so that's where the bonus episode went. So I apologize, but it would have been absolutely hilarious. I'm not a painkiller type of taking pill person, and the doctor gave me some pretty gnarly ones, and I would have been a riot. You would have had a blast because I was texting family, and I was in left field, and my knee didn't hurt though. So
well, there you go. And speaking of things being crazy and no one knows what's going to happen,
yes,
Vince McMahon is officially back since the last time we did this. And no one knows. For a while, we were all sure it was going to happen, and then we don't know what's going to happen. And WWE is apparently being sold, but we don't. Yeah, it's, again, not a WWE podcast, but you kind of have to talk about it, especially because today we found out who one of the interested buyers might be.
And that is Mr. Tony and Shad Khan.
And group. Obviously they wouldn't have enough money on their own to do it, but a group.
They're part of an investment group that is looking into the possibility of buying WWE. So here's my question for you right off the top. Does the corporation then become AEWWE? I'm dead serious.
Yeah.
Or World Wrestling Elite.
I don't know. I think they might keep them separate. Like ROH he bought separately. ROH is not anywhere nearly as big as WWE, but he kept them separate. So maybe they'll keep them separate. But like, as much as we love AEW, like WWE is the bigger name.
100%.
So if he owned both, I feel like he would use that name. It's weird. It's weird to think of AEW buying it because obviously we like AEW. It would be hilarious from like a content standpoint. It would be absolutely hilarious if he bought it and Jeff Jarrett got to come out and fire Vince McMahon. Like, it would be amazing.
Yes, just that day on Twitter, like if that day happens and I get to witness it on Twitter, and like at the end of that day my heart would stop, I would die the happiest human being on
and he would have like the name on the contract does say Khan, but it's Tony Khan. Like, he would do that.
100%. It writes itself, but
it would be amazing from like a content standpoint. But like, my only concern, I don't think it's going to happen, but my only concern is that it would end up right where we were before, where like one company controls all of everything. And that's not where we want to be. It would be funny, and it would be really, like, I would think it was great for a while.
Oh yeah.
But I thought it was great. Like, I was a WWF fan in the 90s and 2000s. And when they bought WCW, I thought that was great too. I thought it was amazing. But then like 10 years later, you're like, yeah, maybe it's not good if there's only one company. So that would be a potential problem.
Unless, like, it is part of an investment group. I mean,
Right.
this is theoretics here, obviously. Uh, his name's attached to it. His name's attached to the wrestling business. If he's the only quote unquote real promoter, I could see maybe like other like the United States government maybe staying out of it, uh, and then just using WWE as like not like just for a cash cow, but like a secondary income, and just let it be what it is.
Right. Yeah.
I could totally see him doing that. Like I don't want to say he would take from it to fund AEW, but like if it's not broke, don't try to fix it. Like
Right.
WWE generates money. Like
Yeah.
he would get rid of the Saudi Arabia contracts and all that, and probably get rid of those contracts that Vince has with arenas, so AEW can do the big arenas also. But I think you just let it. I mean, wouldn't you though?
Yeah.
Like,
The only, I mean, clearly WWE is, like we said, it's a bigger name. He's not gonna like get rid of WrestleMania and call it All Out. Like WrestleMania
well,
is WrestleMania, right?
yeah, that
It's and he's not gonna call it AEW WrestleMania. It's gonna be WWE
right,
WrestleMania. Like if that ever happened, like it's not
100%.
one of Vince's biggest mistakes. And I know WCW was not as big as WWE is now, like not even close. But one of Vince's biggest mistakes when he bought WCW was just like getting rid of it. Like there was no
Yeah,
Star, like until recently to keep the trademark, there was no Starcade. There was no, like he just got rid of it and just let it
right.
like, and he could have ran it as a separate
Yeah,
company. And I would hope that if I would hope whoever buys WWE would run it as WWE as it is now and just like not be as sleazy about it as Vince is and just actually run it like an actual company. The only thing I would hope for Tony Khan to buy, actually, if I was thinking about this, I don't care if he bought like current WWE, like
right.
even their names, like even WrestleMania, even like I wish there was a way that they could split up like the tape library from the company itself,
Oh, yeah,
because it would be really cool if he could buy like WCW or EC,
yeah,
like all the old footage, and then like into, because they don't use their old footage with the respect it deserves to be used with, and
exactly.
AEW, I think, or Tony Khan, I think, would have more respect for like the history of wrestling than Vince McMahon does.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And like, see, I got in this argument with a couple of buddies of mine a while back. Like, I understand the point of the network. Like, yes, it is all in one place and it is all there. But if you're not promoting it, there's generations of people that don't know what that is to
Right.
even start to look at it. Like,
Yeah, if you're 20 years old now, like why are you going to watch WCW from 1994? Like
right.
what would make you want to do that, right? If you don't know anything about this or have never, like, and
Yeah,
WWE has spent 20 years telling you that WCW sucked.
that's
So
again true.
why would you have any interest in watching that? Like honestly, like why would, like there's, I don't know how far back it goes. Like I don't have WWE Network. We don't even have a real version of it here anymore. But
Oh,
if you, like, I'm not watching stuff from like the 70s because I don't know anything about that. But you're right. If they promoted it or they packaged it in a way, like they made, like, you remember when they made that ECW documentary that was really good?
yeah, yeah.
If they did
That's
stuff like that,
exactly
and then you'd be, oh, that documentary was really good. I'm going to watch more of ECW because it's all on here.
right, right.
So if
And
they
you
had
could
done a documentary of like, WCW or like, wrestling in the 70s or, a thing on World Class that was really good. And then it would make young fans who haven't seen it before want to watch that
right.
stuff. But they don't do that. They kind of just put it there. And
Yeah, and that
yeah,
was I was gonna like that was the argument that my buddies had. They were like, yeah, but it's all there for you to like delve into. Like we live in the internet age. Like, yeah, but I would love to see, I'm just gonna pick Terry Funk and Ricky Steamboat sitting down today talking about their feud in Oklahoma. Again, made all that up. Don't even know if that's true.
right,
And in like 1977, like that would be so interesting.
right.
But no, they don't. I mean, yeah, that feud's there, if that, but I don't know. You could pay those guys, like the old timers, to come in and talk. it would generate money.
And I wish that they would have a way for them to like watch a feud. Like you could go Steamboat and Flair. I want to see all their stuff, and it would just like kind of like a playlist of like all the everything about Sting and Ric Flair, for example. It would just put it on the playlist, and you could just watch that instead of having to find. Okay, then they had a match on Nitro in 1995, and I have to find it. Like it's
yeah.
Anyway, that's going off topic, but.
So there are a lot of potential buyers for WWE.
It's going to be Saudi Arabia. Like I'm very worried, but it's going to be Saudi Arabia. Like they're going to sell it to whoever has the most money and offers the most money. And it seems like Saudi Arabia. Plus, Saudi Arabia comes with the added bonus for Vince of probably making it a private company where he wouldn't.
Yes.
He could stay on and wouldn't have to answer to really anyone other than the people who own the company. So, I mean, if he sold it to like NBC or something, would be a good option because they'd probably just leave it. They probably like NBC. I don't think wants to book wrestling shows, right? I feel like they would just buy it and like put the content on NBC and just like there you go.
Yep.
But it would still be part of a public company. It would be part of NBC, so there'd be shareholders to answer for. And if it's sold to Saudi Arabia, Vince can kind of just do whatever he wants, which wouldn't be great.
And with that comes like obviously there's like a lot of speculation, but like the Saudi Arabia like audience there, like somebody said something like asked them like who do you want to see like next time WWE comes, and they said they wanted to see like Yokozuna.
Yeah, I think it was one of the royal family. That's what they asked for.
Oh, okay. And like they obviously don't know that human being is no longer with us, but Vince also owns that IP, which any large person that had wrestling training could be Yokozuna all of a sudden. Like you're getting into the territory of like kookiness and absurdity.
Yeah, you would you have no none of us have any idea what would happen if they sold it. So
it's unreal right now. So
it would, whenever it sells to whoever it sells to, like I think if it sold to like NBC or Fox, like I said, it probably wouldn't be a drastic change because they already work with WWE. They'd probably just keep doing what we're doing, put everything on our networks and just whatever.
Yep.
But if it's sold to like a separate company, even someone like what's it called? Even Disney, like Disney doesn't have a current relationship with WWE, so you don't know what they would want it. They might do a good job with it, they might not. You have no idea. And if it's sold to like Saudi Arabia, like no one knows what happens to that. Like
that's the Wild West right there.
It would be a very big change for the. Someone asked Tony Khan like a couple of days ago, "Oh, are you following the sale?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, I am." And like, of course he is. He's involved in wrestling. We are following the sale, and we have no stake in this whatsoever. Right. But like, yeah, so it would be a huge deal, whatever happens and whoever it's sold to. So that's why we're talking about it.
Yeah. And when the rumor initially went that he sold to Saudi Arabia, you made a really good point. We were texting back and forth because like the nerds we are, we stayed up and followed it live till like 12:30 in the morning or something. It was, anyways, but you were like, oh my God, Tony Khan now owns the biggest the largest American wrestling company in the world. And it was just like, oh my God, like that would be absurd.
It would be a huge deal and I think it's going to be Saudi Arabia. I know nothing, but what I really think what happened is insider sources said Vince is interested in selling to Saudi Arabia. That news leaked. And to be fair to shareholders, he can't just he can't just look at the first name and sell it to them. So he has to go to NBC and whoever and Fox and Disney and check what they're offering too. But if it's going to come down to money, and I can't see anyone else paying more. I mean, they pay them. I've looked up the numbers. They pay them like hundreds of millions of dollars a year just for that, like the 2 or 3 pay-per-views they have there. So if they're going to pay that much for like 3 shows, how much would they pay for the entire company, right? So it's I feel like they would just give Vince McMahon a check and just be like, write a number and that's what we'll buy it for you. Like, so yeah, I think it's going to be them, and I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means for the wrestlers. I don't know what that means for the industry, or it would be very, very weird.
Yeah, that is, again, a little off topic, but that is a very big gray area. Like, I don't know how contracts would work because, like, you're no longer like based in the States. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you now have an international conglomerate that owns
Right.
you.
Right.
You know, are you allowed to opt out? Like, you know, there's people that have different beliefs, and I'm just talking about Sami Zayn, who
Right. Who
won't
I think
even
is
work.
not actually allowed to go there anymore because of
Right.
his beliefs. So yeah.
Right. So, you know, like, are they allowed to opt out of a contract instantly? Like, are they going to be not not punished, but, like, you know, do they have to sit at home for,
Right.
you know, oh, I just signed a 3-year deal. Well, guess what?
Right. Yeah.
There's a lot of unknown with that too, and it's going to be interesting. And knowing Vince, it's going to be absolutely perfect for him, and probably screw everybody else,
Including his family.
including his family. I mean, Stephanie is no longer the CEO.
That's another reason I will stop talking about this, but that's another reason
Yes.
I think it's going to be Saudi Arabia is because Stephanie stepped down, and I feel like
Yeah.
she probably personally did not like. Personally, she probably did not want to sell to Saudi Arabia, and I don't even know if they would want to buy a company that's
Right.
run by a woman. So
That's the kind of people Vince is dealing with. Like, it's even hard to say.
yeah,
Like, I'll like it's not even like it's just absurd. Like, I don't know, whatever.
I really hope
I'm
that like NBC finds some money and buys it or something rather than have it go to Saudi Arabia because that would be
right.
not good.
It just the last thing, and then we will move on to Dynamite. Somebody somebody on Twitter right before we started said, "I hope Tony Khan buys it, turns around and flips it and sells it for more money, just to tip his hat at Vince and say, no, I sold WWE for $11 billion."
Nice.
uh, Anyways, last night, L.A. Dynamite. There's a lot of speculation going into this show. We'll talk about that. Um, Personally, the show delivered it on everything except the one thing that we weren't promised, and
Right.
everybody thought we were.
And they weren't wrong to think that. Like they weren't wrong. Like
100%.
it was, and we thought that. So
Yeah.
they didn't promise it. They didn't say it, but everybody thought it, and we weren't just making stuff up. Like it was hinted at. But we'll get to that.
Yeah, we will get to that. But I mean, this was a pay-per-view. It had a big return. Every match was off the charts good. There was a weird little JAS thing.
Yeah, I have thoughts on that. I'm gonna get into that later.
Yeah. But other than that, that was like really the only misstep in my opinion.
Yeah, I thought it was otherwise.
Misstep,
otherwise, it was a great show. Like outside of that one, 10-minute segment or whatever, it was one of the best Dynamites in a very long time.
Yeah, and I mean, all jokes aside, they came out swinging. Mox versus Hangman. I mean, the numbers came in. Did you see the ratings, by the way?
Yeah, it was quite good.
Yes. So the new people that were watching the show, they delivered. They gave them somebody that they would have recognized in Mox, aka Dean Ambrose, if you were a WWE fan. And Hangman, they obviously didn't know him, but you're in the middle of a feud, and these guys wanted to fight each other, so they just.
I'd be interested. I'd be interested to know what someone who hasn't seen Mox since he was Dean Ambrose thinks of him now, because like Dean Ambrose was like, "Hey, look how wacky he is! He's throwing mustard at some," and then like Mox is like biting people.
Right. Well, yeah, true. That's very true, and he did the.
He bit his back.
But yeah, the bite claw up at the Hangman's back.
I always just picture Renee in the back going like, "Why are you biting? Just stop biting."
Yes, yeah, like you could do anything else. Please don't do that. Like, because then he probably comes backstage and like tries to kiss her.
Yeah,
like, honey,
he's like,
"See my match?"
She's like, "Yeah, stay away from me. You're bleeding and you just bit a guy." And like,
Yeah. Go brush your teeth, shower, get some stitches. Then yes.
Though I don't think he bled this time, did he?
No. There was no blood. Well, there was a little bit of blood from the chops.
Right.
On Danielson,
But
which
yeah, Mox didn't bleed, and I was sure he would.
I definitely thought someone was bleeding in this match.
Maybe it's because it was the apparently the Warner executives were there. Maybe they didn't want to be like
No,
that
that's
graphic.
true.
But
That's true.
great match.
Great match. Hangman kicked out of the Death Rider.
Yes.
The
Is
crowd was.
Is the paradigm shift called the Death Rider now, or are they different moves?
I have no idea. I thought about that myself, so I couldn't tell you.
I think it's a slightly different move, but I can't tell the difference.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's true.
People on the internet, tell us.
Let us know.
After.
Once you're done like cursing at the podcast, be like, how do you not know the difference?
Yeah.
Explain it to us, because we don't know.
Yeah. I mean, we got schooled by not knowing the difference between a Canadian destroyer and a
Code Red.
Code Red.
Yes.
And the internet yelled at us.
Let us know.
We now know.
Let us know if the Death Rider and the Paradigm Shift are different things, because I think they might be, but I don't know the difference.
Yes, and they look exactly the same to me. So.
I really do like, I mentioned this to you when we were watching it yesterday. I really do like that Mox and Danielson are kind of adopting each other's styles.
Yes.
Like Mox now does like the hammer and anvil elbows things. He does more submission moves. Danielson's a bit meaner when he wrestles now than he like they kind of since the BCC, and apparently now they're fine. There was an issue with the BCC, but I guess there isn't one anymore. And they're just friends again. But I like their style. I like Mox's style. He's like it's gritty and violent, and it stands out from everybody else. So it's
it's again, like you just brought up a good point a few minutes back. Like, if you haven't seen Moxley in a long time, and if you knew him as Dean Ambrose, you were probably like, oh my. You probably had one of those moments,
right?
Like, this guy is no longer who he used to be by any means. I mean,
he gets to like win matches sometimes.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, like, the Shield was cool. Don't get me wrong, but when they were a unit, and that was also cool too. But then, like, obviously, then the unit has to break up, and obviously they pick Roman, but they didn't have to. It never had to be just like them always together.
Yeah, and once they split them up, Mox got Ambrose got a much worse. Like, Roman got to be like the cool tough guy, and Seth got to turn heel and ally with Team Triple H, and Mox got to be like just a guy. Like they didn't give him much. And then I don't know if you were watching it, they gave him, again off topic, they gave him at one point this like weird gimmick where he thought the crowd smelled, so he wore a gas mask. Like, it was
I was not very much away.
It was not good.
Yeah,
it was not good at all. So current Jon Moxley, much better.
Yes. But he wasn't on his A game last night.
No.
Hangman got the clean win.
Yes.
I enjoyed it. That definitely, but it was a little surprise.
I thought Hangman would win because Mox won the first match, but I thought it would be not as clean as it was.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Like, I definitely thought Hangman was going to win, but I thought it was going to be like one of those things where he falls on Mox at the end,
right,
and then doesn't even realize he wins. But I mean, this was as clean as it could be, and I think I texted you as soon as it ended. Do you think we're going to get a last man standing now? Because they kind of played it up like he knocked Mox out.
Right. Which, this was clearly not a real knock. This was not an actual injury, but they played it like it was. You could tell that it wasn't, because they like showed Moxley and they didn't cut away like they did with Hangman, which was fine. Like, I don't want them playing up fake injuries as real injuries because it confuses people. And I get that. But yeah, I think next man standing makes sense because they've both kind of been knocked out in matches, and that would be awesome to have like a last man standing match at Revolution. That'd be really cool. So
yeah, I mean, you almost have to. I mean, like you said, it's tied 1-1. There's still one match, the rubber match. You see who wins. So, be a good way to end the feud too.
Yes.
Then the next segment, could honestly say I was not expecting by any means.
No, very surprised.
And I mean, it was just, setup was perfect and everything. Bring Shivani to the ring to say, like, he said something derogatory about like the person coming to the ring.
Like he's not happy to introduce the next person, or
Yeah.
I forget exactly what his words were. I thought it was going to be the JAS or possibly MJF.
I thought it was going to be MJF, and then you hear Adam Cole's music, and
that was awesome.
It made so much sense. It was what a.
And then Shivani completely disappeared. He was not there to do an interview.
Yes, he was not there to do an interview.
I love Tony Schiavone's thing where he comes to start the interview, and now he knows that like the wrestler just going to take the mic from him and walk away, so he doesn't even like try to actually do an interview. He just like gives him the mic and leaves.
That's weird because like that is like such a new school way to, like, I never even noticed it. But yeah, you're right. Like, because back in the day, like, I mean, Mean Gene Okerlund, like it actually interviewed people. Tony Schiavone actually interviewed them, not just stand there and hold them on a mic stand.
Right. Yeah.
Wow. That awesome. Anyways, but yes, Adam Cole talked. He had about 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was a great promo. I totally bought into it. Like I was sure when he's like, "Oh, there's bad news," I was like, "Uh-oh," and then it was bad news for everybody else. That was great.
Yeah, that was so great. And how does he look more and more like Shawn Michaels?
He does, yeah.
Like 95 every day.
He does. He really does.
It's like I'm just expecting him to come out with like the dangly earring and like the funny like tattoo.
If you told me that was Shawn Michaels' son, I would believe it. Like if I nead never watched wrestling before and just tuned into the show and they're like, "This is Shawn Michaels' son," I'd be like, "Yeah, he looks just like him. Of course, that makes sense."
Yeah. So
not quite on the level of a Bobby Fish promo, but pretty good.
It was
pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah. And speaking of Bobby Fish, do you think? Not obviously the Undisputed Elite is not. Kyle O'Reilly had Sirius. He's still out, and Bobby Fish has disappeared.
Yeah,
do you think that Adam Cole seems like he's a face now? Do you think he's going to get involved with the Elite because he did kind of, he turned on the Bucks? Is they going to mention that, or are they just going to move on from that?
That's a good question. You put me on the spot, so I will force myself to guess. I'll say they'll make up and they will give people what they wanted the first time. Like, I don't know why they refused to use Bullet Club. Like, maybe they don't want to. I mean, they totally could. I mean, they work with New Japan.
I've heard one of the reasons. I don't know if this is based on anything or just people on the internet talking. I've heard part of the reason is that they could use the name because New Japan would let them.
Right.
But the T-shirt sales are all controlled by New Japan, and if they wanted to sell shirts, they'd have to, like, the logo and the T-shirt sales are owned by New Japan.
Okay. So that makes sense.
So they could use the logo. They could probably even sell the shirts, but they'd have to give the money to New Japan.
Right. They would get their cut.
Right.
Brilliant.
That could be why. I've just read people on the internet speculating. I don't know if that's actually based in fact, but
I mean, that makes perfect sense because, we've seen Bullet Club, but it's always been on the New Japan side, which, that's wow.
Or do you see him having any relationship with the Kingdom because he was allied with the Kingdom many years ago? I think that's an option.
That would yes, that would be phenomenal for wrestling nerds like ourselves.
And great for the Kingdom.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they'd immediately be pushed into main event. But I think he's probably above them at this point. Like he's.
But then again, that gives you another trio,
right?
Taven, Bennett, and Cole.
I mean, it would definitely elevate them into a role where they're not at right now.
Right. True.
So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. It's interesting. I don't know if he's going to be involved with the Bucks and Kenny. I would like what you said. I would like them to all kind of be a group, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
Just fan service. Give me till early spring.
Right.
It doesn't have to last long. It doesn't have to be like a year-long thing. Like, just let the people, I don't know, get it.
I am actually really annoyed or sad, like disappointed that they never got to do the undisputed elite versus elite, like the undisputed era versus the elite feud, because that would have been cool.
That would have been so much fun.
There were so many injuries and it never really happened, and that's too bad. But it would have been cool if they got to do that. So, but it'll be cool. It'll be fun to see what Adam Cole does now.
Yeah, it will be, and it looks like it's going to be. We're going to see him on a weekly basis. So, that's going to be. There's so much. I'm sorry. I'm like thinking of where he could go, and I'm trying to move on at the same time.
Yeah, there's gonna be. He's gonna. Yeah, I have no idea what feuds he could be in. Like he could be in.
Yeah.
Like he's obviously talented. He could be in any feud. You could put him in a feud with anybody, and it would work. He's good in the ring. He's good in the mic. Like he could feud with anybody. He doesn't have to be a clear-cut face. I mean, lots of people are faces when they cut their return promo after being out for a while, and then don't stay faces. So he doesn't necessarily mean he has to stay a face either. Just because people are happy to see him back.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot real quick. I know we're not pressed for time, but we're trying to get this done in a certain amount of time when we're talking. But I'm throwing you on the spot. Right now, if you could pick anybody on the roster to Adam Cole to feud with, who would you pick?
Ooh, I'm gonna assume that it's right now, so we're not gonna take people who are currently in feuds like MJF and Danielson. Like they're not involved; they're already in a feud.
Right, yeah.
So I'm not gonna. If you could throw into a feud right now, yeah, that's tough. I was thinking Jericho, but Jericho's already involved. I don't know. Someone like maybe the Death Triangle, like maybe Pac. That would be interesting.
Oh, that would be fun.
And that'd be cool. Or, I mean, like Hobbs or Wardlow or someone there. Swerve, that would be cool.
Oh, yep, that's what I want. Yeah.
Yeah, he could. There's so many options. Like he could do
so many options.
Anything really, and it would be great. So, and he's going to get a real run now. He had a really truncated run with like he came in, but then like Kenny was injured, so they couldn't do the angle they wanted with Kenny, and then the Undisputed Elite came out, but then the Bucks weren't around, and then so he never really got going. So it's cool that he's now hopefully he gets to like have a long running storyline and work angles and have a whole run without being interrupted a bunch of times. So that'd be good.
Yeah, let's go. It's what a time. Moving right along. Lee Moriarty and Big Bill of the Firm versus Jungle Hook. And Jack Perry's hometown of LA.
One night only, apparently.
One night only, apparently. It's probably going to be more than one night. I'm just saying. Saw a lot of T-shirt sales.
Yeah. I personally am jealous of both of their hair.
Well, I'm jealous of anybody with hair.
Hook and Jack Perry have pretty good. Both have a lot of hair, and as an older man, I am jealous of both of their hairstyles.
Yes, their hair it's on point. I was gonna say something I can't remember. Oh, yeah, okay. The thing that bothered me is like this was Jungle Boy's homecoming, right? And they didn't show his sister and mom. I was like, they've traveled to pay-per-views and kind of like.
Maybe they're traumatized from interactions with Christian.
That is true. Oh man, we haven't heard from Christian in a minute.
Yeah, I wish Christian would come back. Yeah.
Oh, it's coming. Anyways,
the story of this match was Hook getting to suplex Big Bill if that was going to happen.
Yes, and Hook cut a little bit of a promo on Road 2.
Yes.
Which, how awesome was that, by the way?
Yeah, it was great.
End it. Oh, what a way to end it.
I really wish he was Big Bill Morrissey. I know we complained about his name when he was with W Morrissey, but like Big Bill is like, it's better than W Morrissey, but it's still not great. Like,
I agreed.
Big Bill Morrissey is a better name.
It is a better name. Yeah. But then you're getting, I mean,
it's long, syllables. But I just feel like Big Bill, like no one in real life goes by Big Bill.
Unless you're like someone's pap.
Right. Yeah. Like he has a kid who's also named Bill and they call the dad Big Bill. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway.
So yeah. Anyways.
Hook did suplex him though.
Hook did suplex him. Jungle Hook worked well together. And first off, let's give W. Morrissey, Big Bill, whatever you want to call him, let's give him credit. He got himself sober.
Yes. And he looks great. He's in great shape.
Yeah, the shape. I mean, not that he was in bad shape when he was in WWE, but like, I mean, he went from like, oh, that guy's in shape to like, he's ripped now.
I saw someone online, again, I forgot who it was, someone online say, like, look at Big Bill, and even Tony Khan, who like isn't the type of promoter Vince McMahon is, but anyone looking at him can go, shouldn't we just make him champion? Like, he looks like he should be.
Yes.
He looks like he should be like a main event. Like, he's 7 feet tall. He looks ripped. He's pretty young. Like, he looks like he could. Yeah.
I mean, he has that. I mean, I don't know if he could talk because former people from WWE have come to AEW and blew the roof off the place, and we didn't know that.
Yeah, like Claudio, I had no idea could cut a promo, but apparently he's quite good at it.
Yeah, and so maybe he is good on the mic, but he doesn't need to be right now. Like,
yeah, he has Stokely.
He has Stokely, and he's that menacing. Like,
right.
Like you just said, like, he is somebody that he's like Will Hobbs. You generally be scared of them.
Right.
Because you don't want to fight them.
Right.
Like, obviously you don't want to fight anybody on those wrestlers can take care of themselves, but
right.
That's a different level of strong.
Right.
On those people. The firm is slowly becoming a very big focal point of AEW television, and if you would have told me that, like, I don't know, just maybe even 2-3 weeks ago, I'd have probably laughed.
Yeah.
But everything that they're doing, they're a big group that is doing things separately. Like, Ethan Page has his whole thing going on Dark and Elevation that is unreal. It's such a good story with the Hardy Party right now. And then you have Lee Moriarty and Big Bill with Stokely on Dynamite and Rampage, and they're killing it on a weekly basis. It's a weird way to work a faction because they're kind of working separately, but
it reminds me of like we've talked about this before, like the factions in like the early 90s, late 80s.
Yeah.
Where like they all had the same manager, but they weren't really like the Heenan family, or like Slick or her, Jimmy Hart. They had a bunch of guys, but they all weren't necessarily together all the time. They just had the same manager.
Correct. And I'm really liking that they're doing this. And this match, Stokely gets involved. I mean, every match, and he's so, like, I've loved the way that he gets involved, because it's not typical manager getting involved stuff. He thinks differently, and I don't know. I dig it. Like, he was. I can't believe, again, I would say this week, I can't believe he was fired by WWE.
Yeah. Well, I mean, basically, Vince like fired his family, so
that is true. So yeah.
Anyway,
that's very true. I had a very weird moment with Ken Jeong in the crowd. Did they announce it during?
Yeah, they mentioned it during the break. They were just like, "Oh, that's Ken Jeong," but it was weird that they showed him then. I thought, like, he comes out like he has a bigger part later with MJF.
MJF, right?
But it's odd that like they just showed him like during a commercial break.
Yeah, and so I mean, obviously he's a fan, because he wasn't planted there to be there at that time. He was really yelling,
right?
at Big Bill Morrissey and Stokely. Anyways, coming out of the break, Hook and Big Bill went nose to chest, and I mean, Hook is over, but this was Hook's moment, and everybody ate it up, and it was awesome. He gave him and the professionalism. But did you notice that Hook was in the wrong place and
readjusted to
he readjusted to make sure everything was safe, like,
and in the middle of the ring, so like it was safe and it looked better and the cameras got it. Yeah.
It just like dude's been wrestling for like 8 seconds and knew to do that. That was
Right.
awesome.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a Taz influence.
Yeah, or QT. You
Right.
can't sell QT short. I mean, the fans might hate him, but he's training these people.
Yeah, I would just think Taz because it seems like a TV thing, and Taz, like QT hasn't been on TV as much as Taz has, but it's entirely possible. Yeah.
But Jack Perry after the T-bone, what you gonna call it? T-bone Tazplex. I'm sorry here, but that's what that move is called.
Yes.
They just called it a T-bone suplex. Like Taz was right there. Excalibur, come on, you could have said T-bone Tazplex. Just saying. Jack Perry tapped out Lee Moriarty, which again I thought was a cool dynamic. Like they had Big Bill playing the big guy, who was so upset that the little guy got one over on him that he missed
right
to break up the tap out. It was
great.
So well done. So well done.
Very well done.
And then I mean, next match on the card, like I said, this is like freaking pay-per-view. You had Danielson versus Takeshita. Amazing match. MJF comes out, cuts a little bit of a promo that people on the internet were mad about.
Yeah, my thought on that is I can see why they were mad about it, like making fun of someone's name and like basically mocking him for being Japanese. Like I get that, but I'm under the belief that heels can do things that are
exactly
bad because they're heels, and as long as they're shown as like they're the bad guy and they get what's coming to them, I think it's like that. This is different than when Triple H made veiled racist comments to Booker T and then won. Like that was bad because like if the heel's going to say stuff like this, he has to lose. So Takeshita told him off. Danielson ran him away. Like he's clearly he was the loser of this interaction. Yes. So I feel like that's acceptable. And apparently he ran. I don't know how much this is true, but apparently he ran everything by Takeshita before he did it. So
of course he did. I mean, but anyways,
I can get why people were upset, but he's a heel and he looked bad at the end, so I understand. Like that works.
And again, we always talk about like there's a reason that there's a 7-second television delay. And,
right.
I mean, if none of that was okayed, or if Tony Khan was like, wait a minute, he said he was going to like make fun of his dog, and he said that, okay, cut it. Like, it's
yeah.
So anyway.
The "We Speak American" line was just such that's such a 1980s heel being like
yes. Yeah.
And it was like he didn't say "we speak English," he said "we speak American," which was "we speak English" would be racist. "We speak American" like makes MJF look stupid. Yes. Because like American's not a language. So so it was funny.
It was the most Ralph Wiggum moment, and it was amazing. We speak American.
Yeah. So as a heel, I feel like you can get away with saying, jerkish things or offensive things as long as you're clearly the bad guy and clearly everyone knows you're wrong, and it's like you get what's coming to you at the end, which is exactly what happened.
Well, we'll go right into it. Danielson chases MJF away. It's hilarious. It's never going to get old just seeing MJF like he's going to fall one of these times. Mark my words, because he's full-blown sprints up that.
And he's like wearing just like dress shoes. He's not wearing like wrestling boots. Yeah.
And when he does, of course, he's going to sell it like either it didn't happen or like he was shot,
or stand up and then slip again.
Yeah. And the crowd is just gonna eat. It's gonna be so good. Oh, I cannot wait till he falls.
They really put Takeshita over. I mean, even MJF put Takeshita over. He came out was like, "I know everyone really likes you. I don't watch your stuff," because that's MJF, of course, which I thought was a hilarious line. Great. But he put him over. Danielson put him over. The announcers and like they should. He's great. Like he's a really great wrestler. So I like that.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was fun. I mean, this match could be at the end of this year talked about as match of the year. Seriously,
great match. And interesting dynamic of obviously the crowd wanted Danielson to win because they want him to face MJF.
Right.
But the crowd also liked Takeshita, so they obviously wanted him to win too. So it was kind of like a split. I mean, there were times when Danielson was getting booed over and Takeshita was getting cheered. That's like how much the crowd likes him. So it was really cool.
Really, really, really cool. A lot of chain wrestling, of course. I mean, Danielson, that's what he is known for. And Takeshita came up through the DDT and New Japan. So they, you learn the basics there.
I feel like Takeshita, and he's not there yet, but I feel like he's so well rounded. He's a high flyer. He's a technical guy. He can brawl. He's like, he's what Bryan Danielson is, 20 years earlier in terms of just being able to wrestle every type of style, every type of match, like get the crowd behind you without really, like, he doesn't say anything and he gets the crowd behind you. Like, he's never really cut a promo. He's never had vignettes. He's never, like, he just gets over because people like him and he's good at wrestling. And that reminds me a lot of Danielson, who kind of got super over just being like a good, well-rounded, talented wrestler.
Yeah, I mean, that's Takeshita is on a level of, he's skyrocketing right now. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they put him in the main event of a pay-per-view this year, or he's going to get some sort of belt guaranteed.
Yeah. When do they do that Face of the Revolution? At Revolution, I'm assuming they do the Face of the Revolution ladder match. That could be something he could win.
Oh yeah. Oh, now if he won that, let's go.
Because he should win something. He should be somewhere.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And he's had a lot of matches recently where he, like, against Mox, against Claudio, against Danielson, who obviously are all great wrestlers, and he's looked great in them. But he's lost all those matches, so he does need to win a big match. So that would be a good opportunity for him to win something.
Yeah, that'd be great. Where do you think we're going to get a feud with him, or feud for him, not with him?
Yeah, he needs something because he's had a lot of great matches with the BCC, and Takeshita is great. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve this, but the BCC are also, like we've said a million times, they could have good matches with us. Like 100%. Not the level of this match, but they could have like a serviceable match where the crowd wouldn't hate it.
Right.
Because we would just have to stand there and listen to whatever they had to say, and like it would be okay. It would be fine.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It would pass.
Yeah. So not a knock against Takeshita, but like he has had matches against, very, very talented wrestlers. So I would like to see him in a feud with someone who's not at his, when I say at his level, I don't mean his level wrestling wise. I mean his level like experience wise or who's as well known as him, someone who's not like an international superstar, someone like an Ethan Page or something who
that'd be fun,
very talented, but also needs to be moved up a level, and they could kind of elevate each other.
Yeah, let's go. I'm okay with that. Oh man, that'd be fun. But anyways, I'm sorry, we're time constraints here. I got to keep moving.
Yeah, I keep going off topic. Sorry.
That's all right. Well, I keep looking at the time.
Excellent match, though. Excellent match.
Excellent match. Crazy match. At the end, Danielson choked out Takeshita. So Takeshita still looks strong.
Yep, didn't tap, passed out.
Didn't tap, passed out. Danielson survives. He has to. They didn't say when, but at the end of the show, they kind of leaked his next opponent by accident.
Yeah, they were a little weird with their mentioning upcoming matches before they should have mentioned upcoming matches. We'll talk about that later. But
yeah. So yeah, he it was Bandito next, I believe.
Yes, it was, which is also going to be a great match.
Which is also going to be a great match.
I loved him on Road 2 where he was like, MJF, you put me in this, told me I have to fight all these other talented wrestlers as a punishment. He's like, I like doing this. Like, I want to have these matches.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he does. Like, he just like, who else can you super talented can you put me in the ring with so I can have an amazing 20-minute match with? Like,
yeah, I mean, we always joke around, like, he literally left WWE because like the schedule wasn't enough for him. Like,
he didn't get to wrestle enough match. Yeah.
the one thing that people complain about is at WWE, the schedule's terrible.
He's like, can I go to Japan too? Can I like have some extra matches?
It's unbelievable the commitment that he has, and it's a joy to watch. So I love the commitment, but slow down a little bit.
Yeah, he honestly, you could tell, like he just honestly loves having like really good wrestling matches and doesn't really care who it's with or where it is, or he just wants to have really good wrestling matches with people.
Well, speaking of a really good wrestling match, Juice Robinson, out of left field with Renee, uses the open challenge for Darby for this Friday at Rampage.
Yes, I love the open challenge. I think it's great. I love that Darby has it back.
I love it too, because you can have something like this, like, okay, yeah, Juice Robinson's a very good wrestler. So is Darby. It could be a one-off. It could be the start of a feud. Like,
right. And they haven't really built up Juice Robinson, but like it doesn't matter. He's just gets to have the match because it's an open challenge.
Yeah, and you know, he's gonna if the crowd hasn't seen too much of him, they're gonna see him Friday. Or see him tomorrow, and I bet you it's a banger.
And I think it doesn't even particularly matter. Like he's probably not going to win. It's almost certainly going to be Darby. But 100%. The thing I love about open challenges is eventually somebody wins. So they do this every week, and it's a bunch of guys who he's a good wrestler, but I don't think he'll win. And then one day he wins, and that's fun. I like it.
It is, because you hold that, like, the wild card that you could pull at any time.
Right.
You know, Darby could be the champion for months, and then, you know, like you said, just some not random person, but, you know, open challenge again. Darby got this. Boom, it's over. He lost.
And it doesn't make Darby look bad because he's just literally facing anybody. Right. So if he loses, you're just like, well, yeah, he lost, but he also, beat, 10 other miscellaneous opponents in the last 10 weeks. So that doesn't make him look bad either. I love it. I think it's great. The match is going to be great.
Speaking of great match, we had a tag match. Had involved some ladies: Toni Storm, Saraya, Jamie Hayter, and Britt Baker.
How over is Jamie Hayter?
It's unbelievably over. Like,
and like she should be. That's not a knock on her. Like, she's great.
Right. I was just going to say, honestly, like, all jokes aside, she's probably the most over in this match. Of all four. I mean,
and that would be surprising to say, 6 months ago or a year ago. But yeah. Do you think, off topic, they meant for her to be champion, or she just got so over that they gave her the title?
Oh, man, you're throwing me the curveballs this week. I'm going to say it was like the grassroots movement. I think Tony Khan saw the writing on the wall. It was time for a new champion. And he knew that he could take the crowd was already like, everybody was ready.
Yeah.
It wasn't going to be like, oh, let's put it on Jamie and see what happens. Like, no, you put it on Jamie, the place is going to explode.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I think he saw the writing on the wall and just said, screw it, we're doing this.
I think the initial plan was probably for Toni Storm to hold it until Thunder Rosa came back and then have a match. But yeah, Jamie Hayter just got so over on her own that like people would have been mad if she didn't win.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, that honestly, after the whole fiasco, or not fiasco really, but the whole interim thing, I doubt AEW ever uses it again. It'll either be, oh, you're going to be out for 3 months. Okay, we're just going to have a tournament. You're the number one contender when you're done.
Or they just let you they don't name a new champion for the month or two you're gone.
Right. Yeah. Or if you're just going to be like a short-term thing, but you're just not going to be on TV for a while, and welcome back when you come back.
Right. I think the interim thing is probably over.
Just because of what Mox and Hayter did. I mean, they almost had to be named champion.
Right.
I mean, if you didn't give that to them, they did over and above what they should have.
You could tell that they both, and Toni Storm too, they all took it as like a kind of like a challenge. Like, oh, you're going to like, even not in character, but also I feel like out of character, like as individuals, they took it as, oh, well, not the real champion. Well, we're going to show everyone that we should be the real champion. With how, the great matches we're going to have, the great work we're going to do. And then, basically Tony Khan had no choice but to name all of them actual champion.
Yeah. So, again, Jamie Hayter is very over. That's my very first note. There's so many nuances in this match. People thought we were going to get myself included. We thought we were going to get some Mercedes coming to the ring or in the crowd. I mean, they did Britt gave 2 tickets to Saraya, and it is bugging me.
I think the 2 ticket things was just Britt making it like an insult. Like, oh, you can come wrestle me, or you can have these tickets and sit in the crowd. I think that's like, she just took it as a shot at her. But then I feel like the internet picked up on it, and then Saraya mentioned it, and then it became a thing. I think they never meant it to be a thing. I think people just turned it into a thing.
I'm okay with that.
And it became a thing.
Turned it into a
like
thing.
It definitely became a thing that everyone was talking about. And then Saraya mentioned it. Like it definitely became a thing. But I think it was initially like a one-off line. Like, oh, you can wrestle me. You and a partner can wrestle me in LA. Or if you are scared to wrestle me, have these tickets and watch me wrestle. And it was never meant to be more than that. And it kind of just like took on a life of its own.
I'll take that. It's a good way to look at it.
But the wink and nod, I'm the boss thing was on purpose. And
100% was on purpose. Now, my theory on this is there's going to be a time when Tony Khan can't deliver. Like, she might not be under like contract, or like we don't know what's going on.
Right.
But there's going to be a time like when somebody is out there and he's going to almost have it money in the bank. I have this person signed, and they're going to flip the table, pull out a deal, do something.
Right.
So I think this was okay with Punk. You somehow pulled off not announcing that he was going to be there and literally keeping it from like 98% of the roster, honestly.
Or Danielson or Adam Cole or like a bunch of them. Yeah.
Yes. This one was you're starting to see a pattern, and I've delivered every time.
Right.
Well, guess what? You're going to wait a little longer. I personally think he has her signed, and it's going to be like a Punk situation. We're just next week or 2 weeks, we're not that we're going to forget about her, but she wasn't there 2 weeks in a row. Well, okay, she's out of your head, and then boom, all of a sudden, you're going to have a Mercedes. Not a Mercedes, that's a car. You're going to have Mercedes come to the ring, and that's when people are going to sleep on it and forget, and then he's going to flip the script on us.
I'm of 2 minds of this. Part of me thinks that I think something, my initial thought was she has something in her New Japan contract where she gets to have that match in LA. It's in LA, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
California, San Jose, somewhere, where she gets to have that match.
True.
And that's going to be her first thing. And that's in her contract that like she won't do anything else with wrestling until like she's signed to be, her first appearance in a ring will be with New Japan. I think that probably is in her contract. And I think that's why I thought that maybe she'd show up in the crowd or she'd do a run-in afterwards, but she's not wrestling, so that doesn't break whatever deal she has with New Japan. True. Tony Khan doesn't want to upset New Japan. I mean, he works with them. So you're not going to you're not going to take their biggest star and like snap them up under your, basically friend's nose. Right. I feel like that was a sticking point, not wanting to, first of all, she couldn't be signed until January. And then New Japan kind of had not dibs, but I mean, they signed her first. Right. So that complicated things. I'm of 2 minds of this because part of me thinks, yeah, you're right. I think she might, March, April, maybe she'll show up. And then once she's had some commitments to New Japan, maybe that's when she'll decide to work with AEW, or maybe she's already planned to work with AEW. But there is another part of me that thinks, yeah, he's always had it work. He signed Danielson without anyone knowing. He signed Punk without anyone knowing. He signed Adam Cole without anyone knowing. maybe he really thought, oh yeah, she's definitely coming. And he had talked with her and they seemed like they were going to work out. And then something happened at the last minute and maybe they didn't. Like she might never show up. It's entirely possible that she never shows up. And I honestly think that that's more likely at this point, because if you were going to have her show up and she could, and she was under contract, like this was the time to do it. And if you don't do it now, why are you waiting? Like, why are you waiting 3 months unless there's some legal reason why you have to do that?
The legal thing makes a lot of sense. And just by you saying that, I also thought of, while you were saying that, if they wanted to put Jamie and Britt over, maybe New Japan wouldn't be kosher with like Mercedes being beat up
right
for like a first real appearance, or
right
first,
and also
North
I mean
American appearance.
And little things like she's a heel and she'd probably be treated like a face in AEW, so maybe they didn't want that. There was the possibility of, yeah, you're right, if they want to make this seems like they're turning this into a ex WWE people versus AEW originals sort of storyline. So you're right, if obviously they're going to put the AEW team over, so yeah, maybe they don't want to have Mercedes show up and just lose.
True. Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know what's happening, but great match. Like the fans were right to think that she was going to show up because they 100%. Dropped enough hints that you would think she was going to show up. They never actually said it, so that you can't say they lied to anyone. They didn't false advertise. They didn't actually say she was coming.
Yeah.
But they dropped enough hints that everyone thought she was going to come, so everyone was right to think that. But outside of that, disappointment, and it was a disappointment. Like the match was great.
Yeah, and well, let's just say we weren't disappointed long, because the main event, I told you earlier in the day, you were like, if she doesn't show up, do they lose the crowd? And I kind of answered yes and no at the same time.
Yeah.
But I said they'll definitely lose the crowd, but I was like, the main event's going to be so damn good.
Right.
It ain't going to matter.
So Shida sliding the Slick into the ring.
Yes.
She made it seem like it was an accident, but it clearly wasn't an accident, right? Like she slid it like it was obviously meant for Britt to get. Like Toni Storm was nowhere near where. I don't think that was a mistake. I don't like a out of character mistake. I don't think she was meant to throw it to Toni Storm and it didn't go anywhere near her. I think she was supposed to give it to Britt.
Okay, I mean, she just got hit in the back with the kendo stick. Don't just stand there and say I'm sorry.
Yeah, she make like a shocked face, like, oh, I didn't mean to do that. Yeah,
I meant to throw it to the other person. But are you okay?
Yeah, but when Shida came out, I did think that Mercedes was going to come out to counter her.
And I think that was all part of the red herring too. Like that was planned.
You have a lot more hope than I do. I just feel like this didn't work out. But it would be cool if it did. But
oh no, it definitely. There's just way too much. Mercedes is not dumb, and there's already Tony has made too many little hints. I don't know. I have a feeling it's.
Do you think that it's Mercedes? Like she knows that the fans want to see her. Is this her way of being like, oh, if I don't show up yet, Tony Khan's going to pay me even more to show up, because look how much they want to see me, and I'll show him that, like, oh, I wasn't there, the crowd is disappointed. Well, you know how you can make them feel better if you signed me, and oh, by the way, now I cost this much, right? Like, is that what's going on here?
It very well could be, and I mean, good for her,
and good for her. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Like, if you should try to make as much as you can, but that might be happening.
And hey, let it. I mean, that would be awesome. Because you can do that now.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think that there's any possibility that they have Trinity also, or?
I don't know. The only thing that makes that a little first of all, we haven't heard anything about her, which is a little weird. Right. That they haven't mentioned what's going on with her at all. Also, I don't know if she's married to or just in a relationship with one of the Usos. So yes. I feel like that complicates things a little bit. I mean, obviously people work from different, like Keith Lee's, wife works for a different company. Like people work for different company. Malachi's wife, girlfriend, I don't know what she is, works for a different company. Like people work from different companies from their partners. Right. But maybe that's a bit of an issue. I don't know.
It could be. See, again, I'm forever the optimist. I think they have them both, but I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know.
It'll be fun to see. And even if they don't, like the women's roster in AEW is great. This opens up so many storylines between Shida and Toni Storm and Britt. Like Britt's turning face. Jamie's already pretty much a face. Saraya seems like she's going to turn heel. All of this seems really interesting and really cool. So I'm excited.
Man, very, very excited.
Saraya seemed a bit of out of sorts in this match. Like she didn't do much. She seemed like, I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna text you this last night, and then we started talking about the next segment, which we were not that big of a fan of.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I don't know if maybe they're taking taking their time with her. You know what I mean?
Which would be understandable. Like I would understand if that's what they were doing. Yeah.
Yeah, because like you said, like yeah, she was involved and she did some things, but there were like long stretches where it was just Toni Storm. Like you would barely see Saraya like even on the side.
Right.
You know, like so maybe they are just taking their time with her, or maybe it's just all part of the bigger story that like maybe
she's turned care. Yeah, maybe that's her thing. Like she's just and I don't know.
But we talked about the kendo stick. Jamie Hayter gets the clean pin after the hit of the kendo stick, and if Shida is with Hayter and Baker, man, that's hard to say.
Yeah.
Who does Toni Storm and Saraya, do they maybe get an Athena if there's no?
Yeah, especially if they're going to do a WWE. My first thought was Thunder Rosa, but if they're going to do a WWE, if they're going to do a WWE versus AEW thing, which sounds like it's what they're going to do, Athena makes the most sense if it's not going to be someone like Mercedes.
Yeah, and Athena's like a big major heel now too. So.
Right, so that would work.
Yeah. Okay. Now, can't all be homers.
Yes.
JAS in ring. Not to be funny, but has the JAS jumped the shark? Like,
yeah, a little bit.
The things that used to be like funny to me are like getting super annoying. Like, the stuff at the top of the ramp, how they have like the synchronized twists and spins. Like, I don't know. I just don't buy it anymore.
Especially because Jericho is supposed to be upset that like he's been losing matches and like he's supposed to be mad.
Yes.
Like, why is he still like acting funny? Really? Like, if you're really upset, you're not going to be like, first my dance routine. Like it's weird.
Unless you're a sports entertainer.
Yeah, it reminds me a bit of like MJF always talking about the bidding war of 2024. Like, it was clever at first, but I move on now. I'm a little bored. I'm a little not interested. My conspiracy theory on all of this, and I don't think it's true, but this is my conspiracy theory on all of this. The rumor out there that Jericho doesn't want Punk back. It's one of the rumors that's out there. So, and again, pretend all this is true. Assume all this is true, right? Jericho doesn't want Punk back. My thinking is Jericho, as it currently is, wants to stay in the spotlight at AEW and wants to stay on the top of the card. That's why he would want CM Punk back, because that pushes him down a peg.
Yeah,
right. My conspiracy theory of all of this is he's purposely doing bad jobs against people like Eddie Kingston and Ricky Starks so that they don't get over, so that no one challenges his spot in AEW. I'm basing that on nothing other than a conspiracy, but that's my conspiracy, because this was not good.
It was not. It was other than 2.0 at the beginning.
Yeah, they're hilarious.
Yeah. Everything else was just dumb.
I mean, they made a mistake. Like, they used this segment to like build up a match between Ricky Starks and Jake Hager that they'd already announced like 20 minutes earlier.
Yes.
So that was odd that Ricky Starks like, you know what? I'm going to challenge Jake Hager. I'm like, yeah, we already know that. They already plugged that match like 20 minutes ago on the show. They have a graphic ready for it. Everyone knows it's happening. So that was odd. What I also found really weird is, remember we talked earlier about how MJF can say, dumb, offensive things because he's a heel and he's allowed to because he's a bad guy, right? And Action Andretti and Ricky Starks were like mocking his stutter and like making fun of his wife. I'm like, those are supposed to be the faces. Like that's like such childish, like grade 5 humor that like these are adults. Like, why are they? And they're the good guys. So like, what are they? What this is? It seems so cheesy to me. It seemed like it reminded me like the Danielson MJF thing last week, where they're like, we're gonna spend 10 minutes on mom jokes. Like, why are we spending airtime on this stuff? Like, it's not funny. Like, who thinks it's really funny for him to call him, Count Succula? Like, who thinks this is hilarious? Like, it reminds me of a Vince McMahon skit of like, Vince McMahon thinks it's funny, so we're putting it on the air, right? Like, Vince McMahon hates his stutter or his lisp, so we're gonna put that on the air. But like, no, that's not funny. It's like it wasn't entertaining. It wasn't funny. It like, yeah, it was. I don't know. It was not good.
It was not good. It was
the best part was Hager slipping up and saying he's going to knock his face off his face, and that wasn't on purpose. Like, that was just it was
amazing.
But like, otherwise, it was cheesy, like grade school humor from like Ricky Starks is supposed to be better than that. Like, I'll give Andretti a pass because like, who's he? Like, realistically, like he doesn't have a lot of on mic professional experience that I know of. But like, Ricky Starks should be better than this. I don't know who wrote this promo or who told him to do this, but it was not good.
Yeah, it was not good. It forwarded nothing. It literally was just a 5 minute. It seemed like it was 5.5 hours long.
Yeah,
like 5 or 8 minute time killer, which I would have rather had 5 or 8 more minutes of the trios match. Honestly.
Right. Yeah, I get that they put it in there in between the tag match and the trios match to like cool the crowd down a bit because they were cheering a lot. Like, I get that's why it was there.
Right.
But they also could have just like aired a video package or something, right? They didn't need this, and it didn't do anything. Like, it forwarded it. All it did was book a match that we already knew was happening.
Existed, right?
Yeah, it did. At least the MJF Danielson thing that happened last week, like, I didn't like that either, because they spent 20 minutes talking about we should have a match. No, we shouldn't. Yes, we should. Like, that was a little. It also seemed like they were killing time, but at least that forwarded the idea of MJF challenging him to be in a certain number of matches. Like, at least that there was a point to that at the end. By the end of it, this like, Ricky Starks is feuding with Jericho. We knew that already. Like, what was now we just think less of everyone involved. Like, that's all it did.
Yeah, it knocked everybody down a couple pegs. That's exactly what it did. Wow, that's exactly what it did. But moving right along, match 7 of the trios tournament.
The crowd came back.
Yeah, who would have ever thought we would have seen all 7 of these? What are
when they announced 7? I was sure it was going to be like 5 matches.
Yeah, I thought
and they'd book the ladder match. They'd be like, nope, that's actually not happening. There is no ladder match. Instead, we're going to end it in 5 and move on.
Yes. I mean, the Elite versus Death Triangle. We've been here 6 other times. Don Callis on commentary. It was everything you thought it was going to be. And maybe more.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
putting you on the spot once more. It's hard to pick. Which one was your favorite?
The street fight was good. If we take this one out of the equation, I would say the street fight. But if you add this one, I mean, it's this one.
Yeah, I agree.
But
this one was great. I think I like the street fight more just because that's the kind of matches I like. Ladder matches,
right.
And not this one was a problem. Not this one specifically. I mean, ladder matches have the problem of like, you can't have guys climbing the ladder right away. So you have to give them other stuff to do. Like, why are they, like, as soon as you knock someone out of the ring, why wouldn't you take the ladder and climb it? Like, realistically, like, why did Kenny Omega put down the ladder and then like hype up the crowd and then jump through the ropes? Like, why would you not just climb the ladder? Like, and that's not a shot on this ladder match. It's a shot I have. Right. It's a problem with all ladder matches. They have to do very slow climbs when like no one has ever moved that slowly before. Like, that's what they have to do. So that's an inherent flaw with ladder matches. This was a great one. I'm not knocking the match. It was great. But I just liked the chaos of like a Falls Can Anywhere kind of street fight thing more. But that's not saying this match was bad. This was like also very, very good.
Oh, unreal. Great match. Everything, like, there was so much that happened. First off, listeners, I'm going to tell you, if you have not watched this match, please do yourself a favor, go watch it, because it's unreal. Kenny doing the over the top rope, like swanton through the table.
Yeah.
I almost had to shut my eyes, because first and foremost, so much could have went wrong if he doesn't clear that top rope.
Yeah.
And the fact that if you overshoot or undershoot a table, like there was no one there to catch him because the guy moved, is my point.
And there was the new barriers that we didn't even talk about. The new harder ringside barriers that he could have just hit that.
Yeah, they're imagine the ones that WWE has, but they're skinnier and there's way less padding.
Yeah.
The
ones already has, but they're just way more dangerous.
yeah, they're like, obviously Ray Phoenix is going to find a way to run across those eventually,
right,
and do something nuts off of them.
But like I've said before, like, how do you actually do this? Like, I'm not an athlete, but like, how do you like the match Kenny Omega had with Will Ospreay? Like, he legitimately, like, his eye was completely swollen shut. Like, he went through a lot, and that was like last week. And now he's just like, oh, by the way, for a week later, I'm gonna throw myself through a table and off of the top. Like, how do any of them do this without just crying? Like, I don't understand.
Literally, it makes zero sense. I mean, I understand they're in better shape than us and this, that, and the other, but
you're still falling off a ladder,
right? Like gravity still kicks in.
Yeah. JR used to say that all the time, like, oh, they know how to fall, but like, they're falling off a ladder through a table. Like, how well can you prepare yourself for that?
Right. Yeah, like when you're falling in the middle of the ring and you're getting body slammed, you're jumping off the top rope. Yeah, there's a little bit of padding. I'm not saying that doesn't hurt. That has to hurt. But like you said, yes, they know how to fall. The ring has a little bit of give to it, blah blah blah. But yeah, if you're on a 18, 20-foot ladder, you're jumping off the top part where you're not supposed to stand,
right,
to the floor. Unless you're landing on like a stuntman pad, that has to be awful feeling.
Yeah, definitely. And they did it multiple times.
Multiple times. Right after Kenny goes through the table, Matt Jackson does the crossbody and puts Pac through the table. And just about anything else you could think of happened in this match. Alex Abrahantes knocks the ladder over, who I believe was Kenny on it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And Kenny took a bump not a bump, I'm sorry. Well, basically, but into the ropes. Like, it looked awful. Like, everything looked like it hurt in every way possible. But we did finally crown a winner. The Elite.
And they used the hammer again. Don't forget they got to use the hammer again.
Did get to use the hammer again.
It was in every match but one, right? It wasn't in the last one.
Yeah, there was no hammer, correct. Or was there?
I don't think there was. I think I made a point to mention it.
Yeah, you're right. There was no hammer last time. We had every finish basically was clean minus the women's match. I wasn't surprised. I mean, this was the end of the series, so whoever was going to win, it was going to be undisputed win. You know?
Right. They didn't do 7 matches to have like a tainted win and then be like, well, they'll have to do 7 more.
yeah. Like, there was going to be a clear winner at this, and it was Kenny, which I thought that was cool too.
Yeah.
You could have easily had like both of, like, you could have done it cheesy, like had all 3 of them up there, but
right.
Like, no, like, they sold it. Those guys are incapacitated.
Right.
Kenny had to go up and apparently he cut an awesome promo too after. Did you keep watching?
No, they didn't have it on Fight. I think people saw
Oh,
it. I don't know
okay.
what people saw it live, but I didn't see it.
Um,
And I've avoided spoilers because I know they taped Rampage. So
yeah, I've stayed off the internet for a majority of the day because I hate that. That's like my biggest pet peeve. Now I'm going to say that is every one of these people are going to send me spoilers. No, that was genius. Uh, it just especially with Dynamite because people, especially if you're there, they'll like hashtag Dynamite, and I won't see like the Rampage hashtag,
right,
and I'll click on it, and then there'll be a thread, and people like, oh, during the blah 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 blah. It's like,
yeah,
oh man, like
yeah. I don't
that
like.
wasn't.
I generally don't. I don't want to. I'll only read spoilers if I'm not going to watch the show. Like for whatever reason,
Yeah,
I don't like watching a show when I know what happens. Like it's not the same, and I just like not knowing.
yeah, unless you're there.
Right.
Like because when I went, watching Rampage was so different.
Yeah, definitely. It was the same here. Yeah, it was very
Same,
different.
yeah. You guys saw like, well, it was the same show, but it was almost like it was a different show because you got a longer version of it.
Right. Yeah.
Uh, so yeah. All in all, great show. A lot of fun.
Who do you think is next for the Elite?
It's it Malachi,
It's got.
House of
Yeah, I
Black.
feel like
I
it's
couldn't
got to
keep it.
be. I feel like it's got to be. They're gonna have a
Um,
thing with. They're gonna have a thing with Ortiz and Eddie, but I think that's not going to be long. And then they're gonna go for the trios titles.
yeah, and the thing with Ortiz and Eddie, it's that's so interesting. It's going to be fun too because Malachi's playing head games.
Yeah.
I love it.
Do you find it odd? I do a little bit that the Elite have never acknowledged. Maybe they will now that they have the titles back. Never acknowledged like on the show what happened. Like I don't expect them to come out and go, "We were suspended for a backstage." Like I don't think that's going to happen.
Right.
But in character, they've never like had a promo on TV really that talked about
It's
like
true.
their situation or where they were or why they're back or anything. And like I said, I don't expect them to come out and cut it completely straight, but I'm surprised they haven't had a promo to be like, you shouldn't be the champions. We never lost the belts. So maybe they'll do it now that they have the belts back.
Oh, that'd be a good way to stay heel.
Yeah.
Being like, well, technically we didn't lose these.
Yeah, I could see them being super obnoxious about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I just hope someone makes a reference to Ace Steel biting Kenny. That's all I want. That's all I want ever. Well, but before, well, we're not going to go. But before we finish up here, I gave you a homework assignment.
Yes.
Did you do it?
No.
Sick.
Go ahead. But you can pick.
Well, I 1000% put way too much time into this. I asked you the other day because it was going through my head. I was listening to a lot of music, and I asked you if you were a professional wrestler, and I'm gonna ask the audience right now too. If you were a professional wrestler, what would your entrance music be?
I found this really hard because it's not just like a song that you like, because songs that you like don't necessarily work as wrestling entrance themes. And I got into it for a little and just never came to a decision. My thinking, like, what's my character? Is it me? Am I, 20 years? Like, I started reading into it way too much of like, am I a face? Am I a heel? Am I, what's my gimmick? Like, because that matters. And then I never came to a conclusion. So.
I did it all. I went through the whole gamut of all of that, and it took a lot of my day. I ended on it, and I'll send you the video later so you can listen to the song. And now I forget the name of the song. Hold on. This is so terrible of me. Okay, it is called The Great Red Shift. And it's by the band Most Precious Blood. I'll send you a video of it later. They're a hardcore band. Again, going through what you just said, it's 1000% exactly what I went through myself. It's thinking the same thing. It's like, am I a good guy? Am I a bad guy? Am I in a tag team? Like, all this stuff.
Yeah, like what's my gimmick? Am I like a brooding guy? Am I a funny guy? Am I a Danhausen character? Like I don't know.
Yeah,
so I feel like in my mind I'd have to build a whole wrestling character in order to come up with an entrance theme.
I just used that was like if I was a wrestler,
right?
But that's the way I did it. Like because at first I was gonna like try to pick something like different, and I was like, well, no, like I'm covered in tattoos, and like I've always been into like punk and hardcore and like metal music, and like so I was like, oh, like you said, like instantly I thought of like I know like 8,000 songs I would come out to. It's like no, none of them work.
Right. They have to have they have to have a good intro. They have to have like there's enough. There's a lot you need to do.
And very ironically, that there's a little like electronic intro to this song that kind of sounds like the music that we used for the beginning of
okay
which totally forgot that was even in there when I put this song on. But yeah, like this song has always like I've always liked it, and I've always thought like that'd be a pretty cool wrestling song because it kind of just starts, but there is a little intro to it.
Nice.
But yeah, everybody,
it's a good question.
If you were a pro wrestler, and again, we're just having fun with this, so like it could totally obviously be licensed music. Like you can come out the Queen if you wanted to. Does not matter.
I would when I'm doing it, I'm draw the line at themes that are currently wrestling themes. I wouldn't use those.
Yeah. Well, that was another thing too. Like I was like, oh man, this would be awesome. Oh nope, someone uses that band.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I couldn't even use the same band. Like it was like it was really like upsetting me over nothing. This is how lame I am. But yeah, that was our Rampage review and
Dynamite review.
Dynamite review because I wrote Rampage down. Wow.
And we have a guest.
We do have a guest.
Someone who was at the show and can tell us a little bit about how the crowd responded to a lot of the things that happened. So,
and if there was any backlash amongst the fans of no Mercedes.
Yes, that's what we want to know.
Just like that magic of editing, we have our guest with us, Biddy, who was at the show. Tell everybody a little about yourself, where you're from, and what you do, and all whatever you want to.
I am Biddy. I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I work for a adult company as a videographer, and so I have been in Vegas and LA for the various adult conventions doing interviews with porn stars. And I had some free time last night, so I went to the show.
Well, there you go.
Did not expect any of that other than the wrestling part at the end. That's just the most amazing story I've ever heard in my life. Wow. I did not expect any of that.
I left that part out when I was talking about this earlier. So
yeah, 100% genuine reaction. If you're messing with me, that was amazing. If not, it's even better. Wow.
Nope, my dumb face is all over on YouTube interviewing porn stars.
It's incredible. Anyways, so you were in the area, you went to the show. What was the it looked like the crowd sounded very hype. Was the vibe there?
Whatever you've heard about LA traffic, it is all true. It is awful. So I actually missed the first hour of the show. I walked in right toward the end of the Bryan Danielson match.
All right. Oh, okay.
But because it was an hour car ride for 13 miles, that's all I was going. But yeah.
Unbelievable.
I had to pee really bad. So the bathrooms were like actually underneath the stage or the floor. And you could hear how hard they were hitting the mat when they were, throwing each other around in the bathroom. And I thought that was kind of neat.
That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
And yeah, wow. That was a hard hitting match. So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
I was taking my Wii and like boom, boom.
So the thing that everybody obviously wants to know is, did everyone expect Mercedes to be there? It seems like they did.
Yes.
A lot of people did, and I actually was one of the people that did not.
All right.
A little bit is because a reason I got to go to the show is my best friend from childhood is friends with Saraya.
Nice.
And that's how we got on the guest list, is she gave us tickets. So
So you were the two that she gave tickets to. You were the plot hole.
Tickets.
Oh,
you were the plot hole.
Yeah, there were a few others that she gave tickets to, but yeah, we were, which my friend that I went with had hardly, I don't think she'd ever watched wrestling. She'd never been to a wrestling show, but
Amazing.
she was entertained. In fact, because she was there before I got there, she's like, Freddie Prinze Jr. and Ken Jeong is here, and some guy in a Burberry scarf came out and made fun of him. I was like, damn it, I missed MGAF. I was like, bummer, man. But yeah.
So were people disappointed when she didn't show up?
I couldn't, well, not that I could tell, because it just, you went from when I got there, you went from Danielson to I think it was the JAS came out and did their little comedy routine with Ricky and Action Bronson. Or not Action Bronson, Action Andretti.
Yep.
Which I didn't know he sounded pretty good on the mic.
Yeah, better than I expected him to be, for sure.
Yeah, way better than I expected.
I was like, oh, that is not what I expected. Even though it is a little hard to hear them clearly when you're in the arena.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But yeah.
I know I saw clips online of like when the women's tag match ended and the lights went out to like show a promo. People kind of jeered when they realized it was a promo. Was that accurate, or is that just where those people happen to be sitting?
No, that definitely was the whole arena, and I actually was confused because I was like, "Why is everyone jeering a promo or whatever?" And then I was like, "Oh,
yeah."
It kind of clicked, but I was just like, "What's everyone's problem?"
Because you could kind of hear it on TV that they cut to a promo and like you'd heard in the background kind of just like general upsetness, like angry noises.
Yeah, it was a little strange because it went to the promo, but then if I can remember correctly, I feel like it like might have like cut off and then like come right back. I don't know. It was a little weird. I was just confused overall.
But did they win everyone back with the main event? Seemed like they did.
Absolutely, they did.
Oh yeah.
The crowd seemed pretty unruly right before the main event. Like I texted Blasco to be like, if I feel like they're like on the verge of a riot. Like if something had gone wrong, like the audience would not have been happy. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I don't know what it looked like on TV. In my section, we were like the first row, like there was the floor seats, and we were like the first row of the like, I don't even like, I guess technically a little balcony, but we were like real close to the floor still. So, they were fantastic seats.
Nice.
Although when you're that low, you can't see the other side of the ring. So whenever people would launch over the other side, it'd be like, where'd they go? In fact, during the women's tag match, like Saraya just disappeared for a while. And my friend was like, where'd she go? I'm like, she must be on the other side of the ring. And then eventually she did emerge, but she was missing in action for a minute, at least.
We were saying that earlier, that it seemed like she was not that involved in the match. Like, we don't know. I mean, obviously she had injuries. We don't know if she is like taking it slow or something went like, she seemed like she was not around for a while. So yeah, that it came off on TV too, that she was kind of not there for a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, my friend actually was like, where is she? Where is she? And I'm like, I don't know.
So how tall was that one ladder?
Yeah.
It looked very tall. In fact, during the break when they were setting up all the ladders and tables, my friend is like, what's happening? And I was like, oh, you're about to find out.
Oh man.
She's like, but why are they putting all these ladders up around? I'm like, it's a ladder match. What's that? You're about to find out.
You're about to see. That's amazing.
It was actually pretty fun to go with someone who had no idea what was happening.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
That sounds like a good time. Just to see them experience it would be super cool.
Well,
it was definitely nuts.
So the grand finale, I told her, I was like, there might be blood. I'm like, and there's definitely going to be violence. And she just gave me this look like, what? Sure enough, I don't know. Whenever they'd fly from the top of a ladder down, and I'd glance at her, and she'd just be wincing. And a couple times she was like, "Oh my god!" So, but yeah.
I mean, I've seen multiple ladder matches, and I was watching on TV at home, and a couple times I was like, "Oh my god!" So,
yeah. Like when Kenny put himself through the table, I literally, oh my god, it.
Yeah.
So were you on the side where Kenny put himself through the table, or were you on the other side?
I was on the side where he put himself through the table, so I couldn't see him land. But they did have some, like, on the screen or whatever. They had some camera angles where you could see it.
Right.
But I definitely heard it though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, we were close enough to be able to hear the dialogue in the ring a bit.
Oh yeah.
In fact, during the tag match, what did Saraya said something like, "Stop looking at me, you cow," or something like that.
Nice.
That's
have you been to like an AEW before? Or was this the first time?
I was at one of the very first Dynamites when it was in Pittsburgh. That was the Dynamite where Cody, was it MJF? He threw through a door at the Pitt basketball stadium or arena.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I was at that show. That was my first wrestling show ever.
Cool.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So that was a good one to go to as well.
So you weren't there this past April at the Pete?
I was not. I probably was busy interviewing porn stars or something.
Very interesting. I was at that one. That was fun, even though I hate Oakland, but that's the podcast within itself. But yeah, like that's cool that you had fun. What was like the arena looked pretty packed. Was it officially a sellout or no? Does anyone know?
I don't actually know the capacity of it. I think like 10,000, 11,000 people were there. I don't know what it normally, I feel like it would hold more, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think I saw somewhere online it holds like 17,000.
All right.
It used to be where the Lakers used to play.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
But, and it was pretty packed, but I don't think it was sold out.
Yeah. How good? Like, I think how does the stage look? I think the new stage looks really cool. How does it look in person?
Yeah, I thought it looked great. It seems like it's almost longer or bigger too.
Yeah.
Like I noticed, like the ramp seemed a lot longer.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed, I being the nerd that I am, I know that when they had the old Dynamite set, when they went to LA last time, they used a different, like, lower stage with a longer ramp, and like they switched it up. It wasn't the regular Dynamite set, but it seems like this one they can use in every venue. Like they didn't have to change it really to fit it into the forum.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
good.
Oh, now I forgot what I was gonna say.
So good crowd though. Everyone was happy by the end, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, when the Elite won, like it popped off.
Nice.
That's amazing.
And then after Dynamite ended, Kenny got on the mic and gave a little speech. I wish I could tell you what it was, but I don't remember.
Nice.
I have to say, at this point, I was starving, and so was my friend. And Rampage, it was really, really strange because Dynamite ended. Kenny did his thing. While he was talking, they took down, the Dynamite apron, and they put Dark Elevation up. And then Chris Jericho came out, just him. I don't think he said anything. And then that's all. They filmed that, and that was it. And then Jade, and I think it was the other baddie, not Red Velvet, the other one, Layla Gray, is that her name? But
yeah.
They had a match against Sky Blue and Madison Rain.
Was that for Elevation, I guess?
Yeah.
All right. They taped Dynamite and then Elevation and then Rampage?
Well, that was the only Elevation match they taped.
Oh, that's odd.
I'm pretty sure they taped Dark before Dynamite, but again,
right.
was not there for that. But yeah, that was the only match they recorded. Yeah, Chris Jericho coming out. Oh, and that JR came out too. I think that was after.
That's probably for Rampage.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, Jericho came out. They did the Dark Elevation, and then they tore that down and put the Rampage stuff up. I was like, what was the point?
That's a little odd.
Yeah, and then so yeah, JR came out for Rampage, and then it was Darby versus Juice Robinson.
All right, we're not going to talk about spoilers, but we know the match happened, but we're not going to talk about what.
My bad. Yes.
No,
you're fine.
However, I will say I did not stay for the rest of Rampage because I was so hangry. I had to go.
I mean, those tapings generally are really long, and I mean, you missed the beginning of it, but they are really long.
Right.
Yeah, they're rough.
They're like, and it started at 4 Pacific time, and I think we left at like 5, 6, 7, like 9 Pacific time. So we were I got there at 6. So
you're still there for a while, yeah.
Yeah. So, and a lot of people left after Dynamite, which makes sense.
Yeah, it's a little odd that they tape Ramp. I get why they do it, but the crowd's always kind of a little tired and out of it. Like by the time they do Rampage, because you've been there for a couple hours already, especially if you showed up for the dark tapings before.
Right.
You'd have been there for like 4 hours already at that point.
Right. So I definitely get it now why when they don't do it live. I feel like they should go make Rampage like 2 hours as well and start doing that live. I feel like they've got enough.
I agree.
Oh, what's the word? Sorry, I'm exhausted today.
No, that would make sense. I would like that actually if they had a separate live show, because the crowd is always kind of dead by the time it shows up.
That's what I was trying to say. I think they can sustain it now, especially if they do Dynamite where they go to like the bigger cities and then do Rampage like the smaller type of places.
Right.
I feel like that might work out pretty well. But I think this taping Rampage after Dynamite, it's just exhausting.
Yeah. I know. The one I went to was just Rampage, but I know Blasco was there for a full long time.
Yeah, it was like a full shift. It was by the time I left my house, and by the time I got back home, it was 9 hours.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
It wasn't that long. It was pretty damn close though. Let's see. No, it was because I left at 4 in the afternoon, and I come home. It was almost 1 in the morning. So yeah, by the time I drove, and it was. Well, you're from Pittsburgh, Biddy, so you know how great it is to park in Oakland.
Oh yes.
It took me 86 minutes to find a parking spot because every was full because it was move out day for Pitt.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, it was. There were people. Well, first off, there were people everywhere, and then every parking garage had people getting their kids out of there. Which again, AEW doesn't know that, but in Oakland, you can only park in a parking garage, and they were all full. Like there was a point in time where I considered driving back across the river to the south side, then Ubering back over to the Pete.
That's probably what I would have done because I have no pay. I would have after like 10 minutes, I'd be like, all right.
I found a garage eventually, and but I was at that point of like, okay, I'm just gonna drive further away and get a ride back.
Yeah. My last interview of the day was supposed to start at 4. The girl was late. I was panicking because I had an Uber scheduled for 4:20 to pick me up. And I'm like, please get here, please get here. She got there. We finished the interview at 4:20, and I was texted the Uber guy. I was like, please don't leave. I'm coming. Of course, the elevators for the first time, the entire time I'd been there, it took forever, and the guy left.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. Luckily, someone else came pretty fast and got me. But yeah, it took an hour to get there. Or actually, it was over an hour because I think I got in the Uber at like 4:36, and I didn't get there till 6 o'clock.
Wow.
to go
Yeah.
13 miles. That's
Thirteen
unbelievable.
miles.
Unbelievable. You could have went to Walmart and bought a bicycle and
But
made it there.
my friend was like, "You could probably have walked here faster." I'm like, "No, I would have had a heart attack halfway through."
Unbelievable. That's cool. Did they announce any like upcoming shows there? Like, are they going to come back to California? Did they announce anything?
They didn't announce anything while I was there.
I think they did earlier. They announced an ROH. The ROH pay-per-view is going to be there.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they did that before I got there. Yeah, once I got back to my hotel, I like caught up on what I missed. But
Interesting.
Yeah, and then they said was it in between Dynamite and Rampage? Or Tony Khan came out at one point actually. I think it was in between Rampage and Dynamite, and he talked to the crowd, and he said that anytime they're in Los Angeles, it's going to be the biggest, best show they can put on. So,
yeah. Was he like super hyped up and crazy?
Yeah, he definitely sounds like he might be enjoying some of the booger sugar.
He's got a lot of energy, that guy.
Yeah, he's very and he had like a big wool coat on. I'm like,
dude dresses hilariously.
Yeah, he almost looked a little hobo-esque.
Nice. for a guy who has like billions of dollars.
Yeah. Like, I was like, why is he wearing a giant coat? It's hot in here.
and it's Los Angeles.
Right. Well, it's been real crappy weather here.
Right.
Actually, today was beautiful, but of course I get to leave rainy, miserable Pittsburgh in January, and I come to Vegas and LA, and both are raining and quote freezing to the locals.
Yeah.
But I walked around the block, I think it was yesterday, of my hotel, and I saw a girl with a parka on with her hood like tightly around her face. And I'm out there in a t-shirt. I was like, oh my goodness, you guys are kidding. You guys can't take 60-degree weather.
I guess it's LA cold, so it's different.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, my friend has been here for like almost 9 years. She's from the Dayton area in Ohio, and it gets pretty cold there. And now she's like, oh no, this is freezing to me now. I'm like, you've gotten soft.
Yeah.
But
I couldn't live out there. That weather's gross.
I will tell you, the food though here, holy crap balls, it's so freaking good, and it's actually not that expensive if you go to the right places.
Nice.
Interesting.
After the show, me and my friend went and got this gigantic spread of Korean food and like soup, like a big old pot of soup and rice and bunch of side thingies, and it was $35 for both of us.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Wow.
Total. That's
unbelievable.
It was amazing. And then today, my new hotel is in Little Tokyo, and I went to the sushi place, and I got 3 hand rolls, and Lori got the little rice cake thing for under $20.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm jealous. At McDonald's today.
It's pretty dope. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But anyway.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, that was awesome that you had a good time, good show. What like is it the crowd was as hyped as they seemed though? Like they seemed super hyped on TV.
Yes. Like
nice.
When I came in at the end of the Danielson match, I mean, it was already going bonkers. And then the Elite match, it just went everyone was standing and freaking out.
Is their entrance as cool in person as it comes off of on TV?
Yeah, it's even better. It's even better. And then actually, I think when Dynamite went off, they played the music again, and Kenny just was singing the whole thing in the ring. Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty, and we were close enough where we could feel the heat of the fireworks and stuff.
Oh, cool.
Oh, nice. That's cool. Very
But
cool.
yeah, it's pretty rad. I actually took a video of it because I'm like, all right, this is pretty cool.
Nice.
Very
It is
nice.
like AEW puts on a good show. Like
They do.
It's a fun time.
To do it's I feel like they put the Ritz on when it needs to be and knows when to not do it, unlike certain other wrestling
Right.
promotions.
Yeah.
They definitely seem to be a little better at that.
Well, nice. Glad you had a good time. And
Yeah, glad you had a good time.
Thanks. Yeah, I encourage everyone, if there's a show near you, do it to it because it's a blast.
nice.
Yeah, oh, it's definitely.
It's really
the best
it's
thing
really
about
fun. I just went to Rampage and it was cool. So
Yeah.
Dynamite, I feel like would be even better.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have the itch again. They need to come back to Pittsburgh, and I want to go.
Yeah, I will come with you. I don't know why I didn't go in April. I think because I had no one else to go with me.
Oh, I rolled solo.
Oh yeah, so did I.
was-
I just went by
Yeah.
myself.
I usually I was willing to go to this show by myself. I don't know why I didn't do it then. I don't know. I must have been in a mood or something.
Yeah.
But I'm not missing the next one in Pittsburgh.
Nice. Yeah, I'll be there.
Hell yeah.
And on that note, that's all we have for this week. Thank you, everybody, for joining us and listening. It's been fun. As always, you can find us on the internet everywhere at Elite City Pod. We have a website with a link tree on it.
Yep.
And
EliteCityPod.wordpress.com.
Thank you. I was going to say I closed my notebook while we were talking to Biddy, and I didn't know it off by hand.
There you go. And I tried to update it, and I noticed off topic, the AEW website has been updated recently.
Yes. Yeah,
I was shocked. I went to find out the Dynamite card, and they actually had the Dynamite card. I was very surprised.
Yeah, yesterday I went to I was gonna screen cap it and be like, "This is gonna be funny. It won't even be updated," and send it to you, and it was updated. I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, joke's on me."
Yeah, it's a really low bar to be like they updated it with the current card.
with what was supposed to be happening that night. Yeah,
right. But they hit that bar, so good for them.
Yeah. Hey, we were not expected it to be hit, so
there you go.
Anyways,
it's going to be a good series of shows. We're on the road to Revolution.
Yes,
it's exciting.
Yeah, we
exciting
are
stuff.
On the road to Revolution. Everything is in motion now, man. I was just thinking, okay, Revolution's in a few weeks, which is March. Our next pay-per-view, if we go by what we did last year, it's going to go March, and then June's going to be Forbidden Door, and then we have the fall pay-per-view. And it's January.
And they're doing, and March is the Winnipeg Dynamite. I feel like they're going to do something big for the Winnipeg Dynamite.
Oh yeah, they probably. That'll be another early show for the West Coast.
Yeah, Kenny and Chris Jericho, I'm sure, gonna do something big for that. So that'll be cool.
That'll be fun. So, as always, everybody, thank you. It's been fun. I will keep everybody posted on my knee injury. I didn't jump off a ladder and fall through a table. I just woke up one morning. So that's all I have. But
we're gonna stick with AEW tradition. We won't name an interim host if you can't be there. We're just gonna not have you around for a while. We're not gonna bring up someone else and have them. Then you have to fight them afterwards for real hosting. We're not gonna do that. It'll get confusing.
Yeah, too confusing. Like I said though, I might be pretty fun if I'm all drugged up. So get me post surgery. I'll just still be on the IV. I'll just put the headphones on. All right, everybody. Thank you as always. And Rick, do you have any closing thoughts?
No, I'm good. Good show.
Okay, good show.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for Biddy for coming on.
Yes, and thank you, Biddy. It was fun. And until next time, this has been The Week That Was. Later.